Yeah. Milliers de dollars dans les poches, villa sur la côte. Elle kiffe mon style de vie, de worry comme pop. Un point c'est pas top, au début ça flop. Persévère comme Rudy, à la fin ça. Milliers de dollars dans les poches, villa sur la côte. Elle kiffe mon style de vie, de worry comme pop. Un point c'est pas top, au début ça flop. Persévère comme Rudy, à la fin ça se moque. J'ai ma cristalline, les regards dans le vide. J'ai fait que penser à partir loin d'ici. Mes chapelles aux pieds, Christian sur la veste. La go de me teste, elle ramène chez elle. Christian sur la veste, mes chapelles aux pieds. Elle est sur la tête, j'ai fait que penser. J'ai ma cristalline, les regards dans le vide. J'ai fait que penser à partir loin d'ici. Mes chandelles au yep, on dit dans la veste. La go veut me teste, la go veut me teste. La go veut me tester, la go veut me tester. Milliers de dollars dans les poches, villa sur la côte. Elle kiffe mon style de vie, de worry comme Bob. En passe c'est pas top, au début ça flop. Persévère comme Rudy, à la fin ça se moque. Milliers dans la poche, milliers dans la poche. Milliers dans la poche, milliers dans la poche.
Hello, hello. Test, 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 test. All right, I'd like to invite everyone over into the auditorium. We're going to get this thing started. If you don't mind making your way over, we're going to go ahead and get this party started. All right, everybody, if we can start making our way to the auditorium, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you don't mind finding a seat, there's plenty of room. Thank you, thank you. Hello. Welcome in, everybody. We're heading into the auditorium. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Hello to the people on YouTube.
Make sure this works. Should I unplug?
Sure.
Actually, you do the announcements.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm on.
I just started turning you up so I could hear it and see how.
All right. Thank you for being here, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start with a couple announcements. First of all, welcome to Edge. If this is your first time here, I know I've seen a couple new faces. This is Edge. We are a self-custody multi-asset exchange platform. So we allow our users to buy, sell, trade, etc. All of their favorite cryptocurrencies, all while maintaining their own private keys. Security is definitely a big part of tonight's conversation. So it definitely rings true to everything that we believe in at Edge. I'd also like to thank our sponsors this evening. If you're enjoying beer and pizza, that is thanks to our sponsors, Edge, BitRefill, and Coinstructive. Also, I do appreciate everyone being here. I know that there's a lot of other things you could be doing this evening. We also have people on live on YouTube, so thank you for sharing your evening with us. And also, there is a conference coming up on October 22nd. So if you have not yet, go ahead and check out Web3SD. You can go to web3.sd for more info. It's a conference for all, so we're really focusing on inclusion, diversity, and also Valerie in the audience here. She's a great resource for this conference coming up. So it's in our very own backyard at the Central Library. So go ahead and snag your ticket. Again, that was web3.sd. And lastly, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our speakers. So Paul is going to start off the evening. He is the CEO and co-founder at Edge. And then Andrew Yang is going to close us out. He's the head of client services at Casa. So without further ado, Paul.
Thank you. Switch over here. I'll take that. All right, see if this shows up. All right, thanks everybody for coming out. As Madison had mentioned, I'm Paul, CEO and co-founder of Edge, and I know there are some familiar faces out here. Who here actually is new to coming out to any of the Bitcoin crypto meetups? We got a couple new faces, 3 new faces. Have you guys come out to this meetup before at Edge? I know there's many meetups around the area. Who's new to kind of come out to our space here? Okay, so a handful. So thanks for coming out. We do host multiple different meetup groups here. Bitcoin and Open Blockchain is one of the groups that Madison helps organize. Our main organizer, Chris Groshong, unfortunately couldn't make it today, but you'll get a chance to meet him at some of the future ones. But there are some other great meetup groups. You know, we're not in competition here. We want people to learn about crypto as much as possible from different faces, different people in the space. And so keep an eye out for, once again, the conference that Madison had mentioned. That's coming up, Web3SD as well. There's ETHSD with a focus on Ethereum, CryptoSD, focus on just general cryptocurrency, and I think even Chainlink hosts quite a number of events and a few that are coming up. So what I want to talk to you today about is DeFi. I am a huge fan of what DeFi can do, what it has done, but I want to present some of the challenges and what we've seen in interface, user experience for DeFi, and also what we're doing at Edge to help solve those challenges. So the first thing to ask yourself is, why even bother with DeFi? What exactly is DeFi bringing to our ecosystem? A lot of people call DeFi financial Legos. I like to also refer to it as the financial stack. Who here has done any kind of development work, code, whatnot? You probably have heard of the technical stack, a tech stack, as you might say. So on the left here, I've got what is nicknamed the MERN stack, which stands for the different layers of the technology you use to build an app. Node.js being kind of the core language, and MongoDB being your database, and Express being how you serve up your code, and React.js being the front end, the user interface. So that's considered a stack, and it could be made of many different components. It could be not just 4 layers, but many layers deep. Well, the financial world also has a stack. And at the very bottom of that stack is your base of money, right? What is that thing that you're moving around from one person to another? But on top of that, you need to do something with money. And if you think about it, before Bitcoin, there was no money that actually had its own method of payment. You needed some other way to get the money around. And before digital payments, it was just simply the air between me and you. It was my hand holding this thing, giving it to you, and you taking it out of my possession. That was the native payment method of everything in the world prior to digital payments. But once we did have digital payments, we were entirely custodial. You pretty much had to leave your asset with somebody else, and they determined who had the money. Then came Bitcoin, and Bitcoin took care of primarily the first 2 layers of the financial stack. You now had a sound money that was rock solid. You knew its inflation rate. You knew how many would ever exist in the world. And then you had a way of moving it around. Without that, you would have ended up with a custodial system where you had something like gold, but put it in the hands of custodians. However, we still needed more financial services. If you think about it, how many of you just have money and just move it from A to B? You do more than that with your money. What I found out when I was first involved in Bitcoin back in 2013 was a lot of the startups in this space were the financial layers above payments. They offered loans, they offered exchange, they offered hedging, but they were all fully centralized. They had to take your money And then came all of the custodial risk that has existed since before Bitcoin, is actually even made worse by crypto. It's dangerous to hold other people's money, as we've already seen with some of the biggest names in the industry, either folding or kind of getting into trouble with mismanagement of customer funds. So DeFi allows us to take more of the financial stack away from the centralized services, the CeFi, the traditional finance world. And that's what I'm excited about. These are just a couple examples. There's many more things you can do on top of the financial stack, and that's what we're doing with DeFi. However, what is the issue? How many people have actually used DeFi, dApps in the audience? So maybe half of you guys. So a lot of this might look familiar, which is the concept of connecting to the app. So in the DeFi world and the decentralized app world, there's this separation between the dApp and the wallet. dApp standing for decentralized app, and the wallet meaning the app that holds the keys. It holds the keys, it controls the funds, it's the one that signs transactions. Same as signing a transaction to send money, all right? Send a Bitcoin transaction, send an Ether transaction. So there's this separation. So every time you want to connect to a dApp, there's this process. Hey, the dApp asks, I need a wallet to connect. Which one would you like to choose? Browser, wallet, connect, Coinbase, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to get your app and connect to it, whether it be approval, scanning a QR code, and then you're now connected. And you realize many operations that you might want to do in the DeFi world, taking out a loan, might actually be multiple dApps. And you'll have to connect to all of them in order to achieve what's potentially just one operation that you want to do with your money. So that's the first, what I call a DeFi UX issue that's very prevalent in the space. You see it all the time if you start using dApps. Second is what I call signing security. Because of this separation where the dApp is the one that provides the user interface, it's actually the one that also creates the transactions. The wallet that has the keys doesn't really know what it's signing. So this example, you probably can't see it that well because it's a little far and the text is a little bit small, but this is a screenshot of a very popular signing wallet called MetaMask on the browser, and it's showing you the interface by which it wants you to sign a transaction. It's unfortunately cut off, but at the very bottom here, underneath the screen is a button that says, go and do this transaction, execute it. But you get this, it's the app Uniswap, it's this hex multi-call. What does that mean? I have no idea. It says $0 there. It does tell you how much gas you're going to pay, $2. It's a really good day. All right, only $2 in gas fees. And the total amount, this amount of ETH, $2. Is that all it's going to do, is pay a $2 gas fee? No, this exact transaction was actually going to take out $500 worth of a Matic ERC20 token from my wallet and then swap it for something else. But you don't know that. It's really hard to know. So you're effectively trusting two apps. You're trusting your wallet to not do anything wrong, but you're also trusting a website. And if you know anything about websites, they're the most insecure platform to build apps on. That's one of the other inherent challenges. And this has been an attack vector where the website is attacked and people don't know what they're signing, and they might be signing all their funds away, even though they see what looks like $2 leaving their wallet, which is just the ETH, but not any of the other tokens. Third, and this is the one that I think is one of the biggest hurdles whenever I use DeFi, is because of that separation of wallet and dApp, you need to sign individually every single transaction that hits the blockchain. And for many DeFi protocols, you need to do multiple different transactions. And as opposed to showing a screenshot, I'll show you a little video. And this is me live. Actually, I cut out a little bit of the dead time. It took longer than the length of this video. But me trying to do an operation in a DeFi protocol. In the next video I'll show, I am going to be providing liquidity into a decentralized exchange. So a decentralized exchange allows people to go from one asset to another. On the opposite side of that exchange are people that put in liquidity and they earn yield. They earn yield through the fees of people that do these swaps. By providing yield or providing liquidity, you also get what's called a liquidity token, an LP token, and you can earn additional yield by staking that in a pool. And that's what I'm going to do. Really, all it is, I have two assets, I want to earn yield on it. That's really the one operation I want. Give me yield on these two assets. But what does it effectively take? So this is an example of Tomb Swap on the Phantom blockchain, and Tomb Finance is where you stake. And so I have a screenshot of Edge here, which is going to be the signing wallet. It's not an integration Edge, but it's the one that's going to sign the transaction. So I'm going to say I want to add some liquidity. I specify that first I have to connect the wallet. Obviously, it's step one. Connect wallet, and I'm using a protocol called Wallet Connect, widely adopted. I'm using Edge. I've got to scan the QR code, pick which wallet I want to connect. So it's a certain phantom wallet. It's an EVM chain just like Ethereum. I then specify how much of the asset I want to stake, and then I first have to approve having the token removed from my wallet. So there's an approval transaction. There's one transaction I have to sign. Okay, and then I wait for a confirmation. All these user experience UIs make you wait for a confirmation first. So you wait for that, and luckily on the Phantom blockchain it's relatively quick. It might be fast on Ether, it might be slow. Anyway, finished. Now I actually supply the liquidity. That's me depositing the two tokens. There goes another transaction that I have to sign. So I had to connect, I have to sign for an approval, sign for the actual deposit of funds. And then now I have this LP token that's been put into my wallet. And then I want to go ahead and earn yield on that. I have to sign because I have to connect because this is another dApp. It's a separate application, so I'm connecting to that application. I then choose the pool that matches the LP token that I've received. Choose the pool. I then again have to approve the token. Every time you send a token from your wallet to a dApp, you have to approve it at least the first time. All right, so I approve the token, wait for a confirmation. Wait. And as you could probably predict, after that I choose the amount of the token that I want to deposit, and then I confirm, and that's the last step. Slide to confirm. And now I fully have my two assets deposited as liquidity and the LP token staked for yield. But you needed to do all of those steps. For someone that just wants to earn yield on some of their crypto, it's a bit intimidating, and plus you have to even know where to go. There were more pauses in me doing this in real life than what you saw in the video, because I was like, wait, what's the next button for me to click? Which is the pool of the token that I have? Do I have to approve? Where do I go? Do I have to be an edge to signer in the app? So as you can see, a lot of friction points. And this is mirrored in a lot of DeFi. Hence why I feel like, right now DeFi as it stands is probably usable by a fraction of a percent of the population in its current user experience. So what are we doing? What is Edge, and how are we going to solve this problem? Like, what's our mission? So who are we? For those of you that are new to Edge, we're, number one, born and raised here in San Diego. We're a local company. We've been around since 2014. Although we had a different name and different product, we pivoted in 2018, and that's pretty much the age of Edge. Since about 2018 is when we had launched. And we're a self-custody exchange, allowing people to buy, sell, and trade. And then now, using a lot of what we've built to make DeFi a lot simpler. A little overview of some of the main product that Edge is and what we provide: security in a very simplified, familiar way. Our goal is to build Web3, but make it feel like Web2. Make it feel like what you would normally do for a traditional application that you've already used from before you ever touched crypto. And let you buy and sell and then swap between different assets, much like you would in a centralized exchange, but you fully holding and controlling your own funds. Key management is one of the biggest things that we offer in a mobile app in a way that does feel very familiar. Without Edge, pretty intimidating. Much of the time you have to back up keys, write down 12 words, it's probably really, really common. Or you leave your funds in an exchange. And a lot of people do that because they're intimidated, because exchange feels familiar. It's like a PayPal, it's like a bank account. In Edge, you just simply create an account and log in. Keys are there. That 12, 24 words is in the app, but it's automatically encrypted and automatically backed up. And you get device synchronization between your devices, automatic two-factor, biometric relogin, and a big bullet point to your password recovery. And this is over encrypted data, which by and large doesn't exist. When you encrypt data and you lose the password, it's gone. But we have a unique method to allow for recovery. More payment methods than any company that I'm aware of in the world, allowing you to on and off ramp into crypto through many different exchange partners. And right now 17, I think that's actually out of date now. We might be at 18, 19 payment methods. And then crypto exchange, and we'll find the best price across many different exchanges for the asset that you have and what you want to go to and the amount that you want to send and receive. Self-custody, I don't have to show this slide to many of you out there. You know the value of self-custody, better privacy, little or no KYC, global accessibility, and big one on the bottom right, less custodial risk. And if you've heard of the recent news over the past few months, that is a big nugget you should care about. And we've got dozens of blockchains supported. I bolded Monero and Zcash because we are big fans of privacy and privacy coins. We are the first multi-asset app to support Monero, and one of only 2 multi-asset apps to support Zcash in fully shielded mode. Tons of wallets and apps support Zcash, but in full transparent mode, meaning all your transactions look like Bitcoin transactions, whereas we only support shielded mode on Zcash, where all your transactions are fully shielded. No one knows how much you have and how much you're sending and receiving. So, getting back to DeFi, that's the foundation of what we built over the past 3-4 years. How are we applying it to DeFi? Well, if you remember that first video, well, that only video that I showed you with respect to staking and providing liquidity, many steps, super time consuming, friction points in doing it without Edge. In Edge, this is what it effectively now feels like. I specify the asset that I want to provide liquidity for, hit stake, choose the pool, say that I want to stake some funds. It shows how much I already have staked. Choose how much I want to stake. Enter an amount. This one's simple demo, only $2. And I just slide to confirm, and that is it. And you're done. Every single step that happened in that previous video happened automatically in Edge. We automate every single one of those steps, connecting to different DeFi protocols, taking the token, automatically approving it, depositing it, taking the next token, approving it, depositing it, and you then just see how much you have deposited, and you just start earning yield on it. Right now, this is only deployed on TombSwap and the Phantom protocol, but we're taking that and actually using it on multiple chains going forward. But for now, that's where it's available. But I want to talk to you about something that we're launching into beta that I'd invite you guys to try out that we're super, super excited about. And it's a use case that I think is actually perfectly timed for the bear market. How many of you have Bitcoin and want to be able to use it, but don't want to have to sell it? For a handful of you. So there are services, a lot of centralized services, that allow you to take out a loan against it, and you collateralize the loan with Bitcoin. But those same services are the ones that have gone under and taken folks' money or mismanaged that collateral that you gave them. DeFi exists that allows you to do this, but without a video, because the video would be even longer than the one I showed you, these are the steps it takes to go from Bitcoin to your bank. You take your Bitcoin, swap it for a tokenized version. Wrapped Bitcoin is typically what is used in the EVM and smart contract world. Then you're going to need some money to pay for the fees, such as ETH, so swap a bit more Bitcoin for ETH. And then connect your wallet, that's signing, connection, wallet connect, MetaMask. And then you have to approve your token for deposit. That's another step. Approve the token, sign that. Then you actually deposit that wrapped Bitcoin into the DeFi protocol, which I'm a big fan of Aave. I don't know how many people have used Aave before. Did you guys provide liquidity into Aave or actually take out a loan? Provide liquidity. Great, because you need that. For people taking out loans, thank you for providing the liquidity, because you need both sides of the equation. But then you actually go and take out that loan. And then after you take out the loan, for the most part, I did say, hey, how many people want to be able to use their Bitcoin and not sell it? Well, if you use it in the real world, you're kind of selling something into a bank account or into some payment method that you can use. So it's a stable coin that you're typically borrowing, and then you're selling that stable coin into a bank. So there go all of the steps using 4 different products. So you need the signing wallet, you need Aave, like the protocol, fiat off-ramp, and then a crypto-to-crypto exchange. Maybe you can combine the fiat off-ramp and crypto-to-crypto. Some can do both. But a lot, 3 to 4 different products, 7 different steps to simply collateralize some funds and then take out a loan into your bank account. And so with Edge, what have we built? And this is one of our most ambitious projects right now. I would have loved to demo it for you guys. Unfortunately, it's just maybe about a day away from being ready. But these are some actual screenshots of what the flow is going to be like. And you simply say how much you want to borrow, like what dollar amount do you want to borrow. Choose the Bitcoin wallet inside of Edge that you want to collateralize that loan with. Select where you want the money to end up, and it can end up in a stable coin or actually right into your bank account that you may have linked already in the app, because you can actually link a bank account, if you're here in the US, link a bank account in the app through one of our partners such as Wire. And then you just slide to confirm, and that is it. All of those steps from the previous slide are automatically done for you, step by step by step. It might not be instant. We don't claim instant because it does take a while to do certain things, especially the fiat part. The swap could take a little while. The fiat part, banks aren't aren't instant. But close the app, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and dollars sitting in your bank account. Just like you would experience with a CeFi equivalent if the CeFi company didn't mismanage your funds. And that is our goal. We want to give that experience, that CeFi experience, but with DeFi truly under the hood. And so for those of you that might be a bit more technical, who here is, I saw a few hands that are developers here. So how exactly does this work? What are we doing under the hood? And I'll share the magic and the secret sauce, which isn't all that secret because, or you can look at the code on GitHub. But what we're doing is there's two challenges in actually putting all those steps together, is that you have multiple transactions that depend on each other. Number one is you need to turn your Bitcoin into a token. Bitcoin by itself can't be deposited into DeFi protocols. So we issue a swap through one of the exchange partners that we have, and it's great that we've already been dealing with swap exchange partners for years. So issue a swap that converts your Bitcoin into wrapped Bitcoin and converts your Bitcoin into ETH to pay the fees, or Matic if you're on Polygon. And that takes a little while. And so normally, usually would have to wait for that to finish. Right? And I do this right now when I use Aave from before our integration with Aave and Edge, is that I just simply have to wait for it. And then you come back, and then you have to create the transactions that actually deposit the funds into the DeFi protocol, where instead, Edge actually creates those transactions ahead of time. At the same time as we issue the swap exchange, we create and sign the transactions, the approval of the deposit of the token, the actual deposit of your token, the wrapped Bitcoin, the taking out of the loan, and then we craft the transaction that will actually send the loan off to a fiat off-ramp exchange to go into your bank account. So all those transactions are created ahead of time, but they can't be broadcast. So they get sent to, we call like an action node that sits and holds on to those transactions, waiting for your wrapped Bitcoin and ETH to hit the blockchain. Right. Once it hits the blockchain, it detects that, and these pre-signed transactions, we cannot modify those transactions. Once again, this has to be pure self-custody. Those transactions are pre-signed. They can only go to one place, which is that DeFi protocol. Those then get broadcast, and then the loan completes. Yep. That's what's happening under the hood, and we've built quite an extensive, what we call like an action queue process and an action node that we can then use for many other different DeFi protocols to automate this process and make it so you don't have to go and do one step after the other. And second on our roadmap, in addition to DeFi, is just a broad sweeping amount of support for DEXs and multi-chain DEXs. Thorchain, AnySwap, Uniswap, really making it so that people can get into whatever assets they need to use these different DeFi protocols. How many of you have heard of Thorchain? They're a good handful. Great protocol. They're the first protocol that lets you do true cross-chain swaps with no counterparty. Like there's no one that's holding your money. And happy to announce that it's actually available today in Edge. It just got integrated. So it should be available in the App Store. I think it just got launched by Apple today, and then Google, you can download it as well today. So give it a try and let us know what you think. That's a key piece of the integration because, like I said, you got to go from one chain to another to be able to do some of these DeFi protocols. So give it a try and let us know. And of course, we're open source. So for those of you that are developers that want to tinker, feel free to download it, build the app yourself. And if you have any suggestions or updates, you find a bug, you want to fix it, submit a pull request. It's one of the best ways to build your resume if you're kind of a junior developer. And we invite and have had other people contribute into the code base. You know, it's all open source. And we feel like that is actually one of the key pieces of security, is that level of transparency. And I think our ecosystem definitely demands that, being in crypto. And with that, definitely feel free to sign up for the beta. We hope to get it out within the next couple days. edge.app/crypto-loans. We'll shoot you out a beta. You can give it a try and let us know your feedback. So definitely excited to get this one out the door and really finally bring DeFi to the masses, make it as simplified as CeFi. And with that, thanks a lot. Happy to take any questions. Watch the speaker. My feedback on you.
All right, you guys, I'm going to take 3 questions. Paul actually is going to hop on a flight to New York in about an hour. So let's give him 3 questions, and then, yeah, we'll keep going.
Mm-hmm. Is it more gas efficient when you queue up these transactions like this? Or am I paying the same amount of gas, or are you taking a fee? Or?
So we don't take any fees other than what we normally do, which is through the exchange operations. So you can optionally use the integration such that you do the exchanges yourself. Like say you already have wrapped Bitcoin and you only want to settle into a stable coin, you could do that entirely if you wanted, and we wouldn't have any fees other than the gas fees. And the automation won't reduce gas fees. You actually are doing all the same transactions, but they're just automated for you. Now there are one thing to watch out for, there are some DeFi protocols that will automate some aspects of transactions by putting a smart contract in the middle. So you're actually talking to one smart contract and it talks to several. However, that increases your gas fees. So we're trying to minimize the increase, right? Minimize the gas fees by doing those operations raw ourselves from the app directly to the blockchain.
Can I set the fees myself, or do I have to wait till nighttime to be the lowest fees?
Currently in the UI that we're deploying, you can't set the fees yourself. Yeah, so you can set the fees for just standard transactions. You just want to send some money to somebody. That you could set your gas price, your gas limit, and whatnot. But for this integration, since it's really meant to be like a couple taps slide, and try to minimize what I call like the huge bloat of UI and options that scare people. Yeah, right now there's no way to set fees for that.
All right, any other questions?
Hey, Paul. Yeah, great presentation. Quick question, and I might have just missed this. So, like, when I do a crypto loan through this new product that you're going to launch soon, am I getting cash in my bank, or is that a stable coin?
Cash. Cash right to your bank. Exactly. Yep. So you do have to link the bank. You're going to go through a partner. Our partner right now is Wire for the US. It's only the linking, going to the bank is going to be, at first launch, only available for US users. But once you've done the KYC and you've linked your bank account, this process is just a one tap, goes right into the bank. You don't have to then, go sell the stablecoin afterwards. Nope, it's just one step.
All right, one more question.
It's not really a question, it's more just of a comment.
Sure.
I chatted briefly before you started the talk, and I knew of Edge, but I didn't really know anything about it. I knew the brand name before I moved here.
Okay.
And I initially thought, I kind of like did the eye roll, and I'm like, why do I need another wallet in my life? Because I have a zillion. But I really am intrigued and excited to kind of explore the product a little bit more, because you really have some interesting things. So thanks.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Can I take a question
Alright.
still? Maybe
One more?
if there is one more, because that was easy.
Yeah. All right, we'll try and hit two more.
So just curious, because
Yeah.
it seems the reason that other exchanges are, hesitant to onboard Monero and Zcash shielded is because of the regulatory risk.
Hmm?
Does being a self-custody app kind of alleviate those concerns for you?
So I would say nothing is 100% alleviated, but at the same time, you can't be in crypto and only operate 100% safe. There's all gray area, and it's far enough in the clear to us. It's close enough for us to operate and go in and offer it, because we're not the only one. There's tons of other apps that support Monero, and heck, even Gemini supports Zcash in full transparent mode. In full shielded mode. So we're not treading completely brand new ground. What we're finding is it's just really hard to support these assets, and many companies don't want to deal with the difficulty. It's taken a tremendous amount of time to get Monero up and running, and at first 6 months, now every year they hard fork, and the most recent hard fork took out our Monero support for 3 weeks, caused Michael here, head of our support team, a nightmare of phone calls. But we go through that effort because we find a huge amount of value in supporting these assets. But yeah, they're not easy, and there might be some regulation that comes down the line in the future. But in the meantime, we want to support and try to drive it forward faster than the regulation can catch up. So get it into everyone's hands. We're all using the privacy protocols, and then government's got to shoot themselves in the foot if they want to clamp down on it.
All right, one last one.
Yeah, my first thought, pardon me, looking at your demo of collateralizing Bitcoin is, okay, so you chose to offer the user the dollar amount, that they choose that first. So if you can explain how you chose to do that as opposed to the amount of Bitcoin that they're wanting to collateralize, and then how is that relationship determined? When they put that number, I want to borrow this much, how does the app know how much Bitcoin they need to collateralize for that?
So in our first implementation, when you create, there's a few different operations you can do with a loan, and there's a lot of UI we've had to build. So the first thing is I just want to take out a loan. I have no loan at all, right? Take out a loan. We're hard coding it to 50% loan to value, right? However, after that, you can then borrow more against the existing loan, or you can add more collateral to it, right? And so this is our best guess as to what we feel like is going to be the most easily adopted without a long list of bells and whistles and switches. And if you already have an existing loan on those keys and you can import your keys into Edge, it'll actually show that loan and allow you to use the UI to add collateral, borrow more. And if you borrow more, you can settle that directly into your bank account as opposed to having to take the stable coin and then sell it. So it'll give you the ability to maintain a loan you already have or create a new one. But you're right, that's a great question. And we're trying to provide a DeFi experience that's what I call a bit safer to the average user that might be new to crypto and some of the volatility of coins. So right now we're only offering Bitcoin. Ethereum will probably come close second to that. But as opposed to if you went directly to Aave, you can go and collateralize the most volatile shitcoin in the world, which is not the safest thing to do, right? And so that's not going to be built into the UI right, from day one. So we're thinking more of the masses as opposed to the 99 percentile degens. But if you think we slowly add more functionalities, we find a good way to fit it in there. Cool.
Right. Thank you, Paul,
All right,
for
thanks,
that
everyone.
presentation. All right. I'm going to go ahead and invite Andrew up here. I do just want to let you guys know Paul will also be presenting on October 4th at UCSD. I believe that's going to be a little bit more of a beginner friendly presentation. So if you have some friends who are looking to get into the space but just aren't really sure how to start, that's going to be an awesome meetup. There's going to be a recruiter from Ava Labs, our very own Amin. I think he's still here. He's going to be talking, and then Paul as well. So October 4th at UCSD, Chainlink's going to host that one. And that you can find the details on edge.app/events. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and have Andrew take over. Normally Chris does the small talk in between, but he's not here.
All right. Well, Paul's a tough act to follow. I mean, collateralized loans with cash, that's pretty powerful stuff. Very interesting. But today I want to talk to you about planning your Bitcoin inheritance, just in generally, and how Casa, if you choose, can play a role in that. But briefly, my name is Andrew Yang, not the presidential candidate. I get clients who hop on calls with me and they're severely disappointed, but I reassure them, you know what, it's okay. I am the better Andrew Yang. You're in good hands. I work at a company called Casa, and we are a multi-sig wallet company, and it's just Bitcoin. And what we do is we help people keep their Bitcoin safe. And one of the underlying values of our company is we really want people we want to serve the people who have very low time preference. And the topic today, which is inheritance planning and planning for passing on your Bitcoin to your intended successors, it's right on the money. It's right along that vein of thought. Like when we talk about low time preference, like this is it. This Bitcoin isn't just for you, right? It's not just for your lifetime, but it's for your kids. It's for the next generation, and making sure that they get access to the same financial opportunities that you are creating for yourself. So with that being said, we can go to the next slide, which is not working. All right, so when we consider inheritance planning with Bitcoin or crypto in general, there are two factors that you've got to consider. First, you've got to execute a legacy plan. That means just from a traditional perspective, creating a will, a trust, some type of legal document that stipulates how you want your assets to transfer onto your intended successors. So that's step number one. But when we consider Bitcoin, right, the second thing we got to figure is how can I safely transfer my assets to my kids, to my loved ones, in a safe and secure way. And Bitcoin presents a unique challenge because it is a self-custodied asset, right? And so are you confident enough in your own security to make sure that when the time comes, your successors can recover the Bitcoin in the way that they need to, right? Like I talk to a lot of people every day about some insane setups that they have for their Bitcoin security. Sometimes they'll take their seed phrase, they'll write it in a Google Doc, and then they'll write a little story around the seed phrase, and they'll post it online, and they think, oh man, that's super safe, right? That person lost his Bitcoin a week after he did that. There's other people, what they do is they'll take a book, and then they'll put they'll write down page numbers and lines and the word number, and it's like a map, and then you need to have the map with the right book, and that's how you're gonna find your seed phrase. It's insane, it's crazy, right? Like, what if that piece of envelope burns or you lose the book, like you don't have your Bitcoin anymore, right? So, but I get how like people can be so confident in their own system and so in their own scheme. But the question I have for them is like, well, when you die, what happens? Right? When you die, what happens? How are your kids going to be able to follow that? Is your wife or your husband going to be able to follow that? I don't know. It's tough, right? Some of us live in Crazyville when we're in crypto. I don't know if other people belong there or if they can follow us in that path. So let's talk about step number one when we're talking about how you set up your inheritance plan let's talk about how you need to set up an inheritance plan and what happens if you don't. If you don't create a legacy plan, your estate becomes intestate and it goes through something called probate, right? Have you all heard of probate before? Yeah, okay, it's a gnarly process. What probate means is that the government will need to get involved with handling how your assets and your estates gets distributed to your successors. Now, probate is, what people don't realize about probate is that it is a very public process, and it's intended to be public because they're trying to protect the beneficiaries of your estate. What that means is all the assets that you have, the houses, your bank accounts, your stocks, your Bitcoin, your crypto, all that gets published online, right? So when you die and if you go through probate, the whole world can see how much money you actually had, which is kind of incredible. The reason they say that we do this is because they want to protect your beneficiaries from being defrauded, right? And so somebody who can't maybe is in charge of your estate, maybe they look at, oh my gosh, this person had $10 million, they siphon off 1 million, just because you don't know. You don't know that I actually owned $1 million, I died, and now they're in charge. So that's one of the reasons why they do that. But it's terrible for privacy. And lastly, your successors are basically at the mercy of the court when it comes to how your Bitcoin and your other estate and the rest of your estate gets passed on, and the probate process can take months, if not years, to settle, right? Especially if you're in debt. That's when creditors come in and they try to claw back, and it just becomes a whole nightmare. Moral of the story that I want to communicate to y'all is that it is not a fun process for your family, for your loved ones to go through probate. It's a pretty miserable process. So, just wanted to, those are the three main points that I talked about. Anyways, so main point, decide to make a plan, pick some heirs, right? Pick a plan and then execute it, right? It's really important to think through how you set up your estate. You can do it through a will, you can do it through a trust, but the main point is spend some time today, after tonight, thinking about how you plan and intend to handle your estate after you die. It's really important. And if you want to make the life of your loved ones easier after you pass away, this is something you should definitely think about, all right? So that's point number one. Point number one is create a plan, create a legacy plan, figure that stuff out, all right? The next step is how do we ensure that the Bitcoin or the crypto that you have gets passed on correctly and that they're able to recover it? Well, to me, when I think about that specific question, it revolves around three main points. Bitcoin accessibility. When do you want your successors to have access to the Bitcoin? And is it secured in such a way where a thief won't be able to steal it, right? And so if you have a single key setup, like in a Ledger hardware wallet device, or if you're using Edge or whatever, have you secured it in such a way where a thief can't steal it? Like one common method that some people have considered is literally just writing down the seed phrase, putting in a sealed envelope, and handing it to an estate lawyer. That's kind of scary, right? Because you're essentially trusting the estate lawyer not to steal your assets, right? Next is the recovery plan. Did you create a plan?
Like you secured it, but do you have a plan? Do you have a recovery plan for your successors? And have you communicated it to your successors? Do they know about it? And the last thing is the day of recovery. You know, are your intended successors capable enough of following your instructions that you've outlined for them to recover the Bitcoin? Is your system robust enough to track with future firmware updates when it comes to hardware wallets or software? Or maybe the BIP changes for the BIP39 seed phrase, like maybe that changes. Who knows, right? Is your system robust enough to track with future changes that's going to be happening in the future, that could happen in the future, right? So those are the three areas that I kind of consider when I think about how do I ensure that my intended successors have everything that they need to recover their Bitcoin. But in order to navigate through that, we've got to just briefly touch on the types of Bitcoin custody that we have. And Paul did a great job covering exchanges, right? Custodians. And he had like, I don't know, 20 different companies and they were all hacked or whatever, right? So custodians, you're trusting someone else with your Bitcoin, with your crypto, right? And that's not like the best situation. A lot of exchanges do have some type of process where like if you pass away, then you provide a death certificate, and by and large, most of it requires you going through probate, going to court and getting a court order, right? Next is the single key, right? The single key is what Edge is. That's what your Ledger Nano S is. And it's great and it's awesome and it's super user-friendly. But the issue is it's kind of a single point of failure, right? And when you try to create recovery systems for your successors, it gets complicated, especially when you want to try to give them the right components without giving them full access to your Bitcoin. That's hard. That's hard to do. And in order to do it, you've got to use like Shamir's secret sharing, or you got to maybe split up the seed phrase, and it gets really complicated, right? And for me, it's beyond my pay grade. And the last one that I kind of want to suggest to you is this idea of multi-sig, okay? Multi-sig is a different type of wallet, and at Casa, it's a Bitcoin multi-sig. And so I just want to briefly cover what multi-sig is. So when you set up your hardware wallet in a Ledger or Trezor, Coldcard, or even in Edge, what they do is they provide you a seed phrase. And a seed phrase is a 12 or 24 list of words, and this is super great because if your hardware wallet ever breaks, or if your phone ever breaks or whatever, or you can't recover your encrypted seed phrase for whatever reason, you can write down your seed phrase into another Bitcoin wallet software, and you can recover your Bitcoin. So it's a recovery tool. It's awesome. But the problem is, if a thief gets it, your Bitcoin's gone, right? And that's terrifying. It's scary because it's a single point of failure. Multi-sig, rather than using one seed phrase, we use multiple seed phrases. We use 5 in Casa specifically. You can create a wallet with 5 seed phrases. And not only that, we have a special spending condition that says if you have 3 of those seed phrases, 3 out of the 5, you can send Bitcoin out of this wallet. What this does is it creates layers of redundancy for your Bitcoin security. If a thief gets 1 seed phrase, nothing happens. If you lose 2 hardware wallets or 2 seed phrases, you're still fine because you have 3 remaining, right? So we have 2 layers of redundancy when it comes to your Bitcoin security, and it's awesome. You can be more flexible with your setup, right? So now that I kind of explained what multi-sig is, let's apply it to the concept of inheritance planning to answer the question of how do I pass on the Bitcoin to my intended successors, right? Specifically within the context of I want to give them the right components to recover the Bitcoin without giving them full access to the Bitcoin, right? And to do it in a really safe and easy way. But before that, I just wanted to cover some key concepts about how Casa can help you. And so in Casa, we have a very specific inheritance program that we offer to our clients, and we offer it at our diamond tier level, which is the highest tier that we have. But there's a couple key concepts for us to understand as we go through this and talk about inheritance planning. Number 1, Casa is not a custodian. That means when you set up a multi-sig wallet with Casa, you still have full control and ownership over your Bitcoin. And so if a successor comes to us, right, and they don't have any of the keys, if they don't have any of the right components to recover your Bitcoin, we can't help them. We can't transfer the Bitcoin. There is no master key for Casa to use to transfer the Bitcoin. It doesn't exist. They need the right components to recover the Bitcoin. But what can Casa do? Well, what Casa can do is we can transfer the Casa account to the intended successor that you name inside your inheritance program. All right? What this means is we transfer your Casa account to the intended successor. And when we do this, we give them the ability to decrypt the mobile key backup, which we make sure that they have and they have access to. And not only that, we also give them access to the Casa key. So in the Casa multi-sig wallet, like I talked about, it's a 3 of 5 multi-sig wallet. There's 5 keys. You need 3 of them to send Bitcoin out of. In the Casa system, one of the keys is a mobile key that's on your phone. You have 3 hardware wallets, and the last one is the Casa key. The Casa key is the one that we manage on behalf of our clients. So if you ever need us to sign a signature, we can do it. We'll hop on a video call, we'll verify your identity, and we'll sign that signature. And so, when we transfer the Casa account to the intended successor, they get access to be able to decrypt the mobile key, and they get access to the Casa key. But notice, that's only 2 keys. They need 1 more key to send Bitcoin out of that Bitcoin wallet and to fully recover the Bitcoin, right? So it takes us to point number 3. Your successor is going to need 3 keys to recover your Bitcoin with Casa, all right? And again, that's because it is a 3 of 5 multi-sig wallet. 5 keys, you need 3 of them to send Bitcoin out of there or to recover it and to create a Bitcoin transaction. The last thing is we need your legal name on file. If you're so one of the nice things about Casa is you can purchase a plan at any level and be pseudonymous. We don't really need to know who you are. But if you want to use our inheritance planning feature, which is available in the US and in Mexico, we need your legal name on file. And the reason for that is because we're going to KYC your successors, and when they come to us with the death certificate, we need to make sure that the name that we have on file matches the death certificate, all right? So again, Casa's, we're not a custodian. We can transfer the Casa account to the intended successor. Your successor is going to need 3 keys out of 5 to recover your Bitcoin. And lastly, we need your legal name on file. All right, so now that we've covered these key concepts, I want to talk about the first scenario where Casa can help you easily prepare for passing on your Bitcoin to your intended successors. So the scenario number 1 is that you are a Diamond client and that you are enrolled into our inheritance program. This is by far the easiest, the cleanest way to set up your inheritance planning with Casa. Right? First, you got to make sure you set up your estate through a trust or a will. Then you come to us. Then we'll actually register 2 of your successors. Okay? And so what is our inheritance program? It's a way for you to transfer your Bitcoin and your Casa account immediately without going through probate. Okay, so if you properly set up your estate beforehand and you come to us, you don't have to go through probate. We can easily transfer the Casa account, and your intended successors can recover the Bitcoin without going through probate, which I think is great. In our program, you can name up to 2 recovery custodians. A recovery custodian is someone who you want the Casa account to get transferred to. So the ideal situation is that you set up a trust, and then you name a trustee inside our inheritance program. That trustee is the recovery custodian. All right? It can also be an executor, a spouse, or even a child who's over the age of 18. But this is what comes with our inheritance plan. Your recovery custodian gets an inheritance package. This package is crucial, right? This makes sure that they have all the necessary components that they need to recover your Bitcoin with help from Casa, right? In this inheritance package, we're going to make sure that they get access to 2 keys. One of them is we have them print out the encrypted mobile key backup, and also that they email it to the intended successor. And we also have them, we give them a steel plate, and we print the seed phrase, one of the seed phrases from your multi-sig wallet, into this inheritance envelope, right? And now this might sound scary, like you're giving someone your seed phrase, but remember, this is a multi-sig. We can be a lot more flexible with the security setup, right? It's okay if somebody else has one of your seed phrases. Why? Because they need 3 of them. They need 3 of them to steal your Bitcoin. So if they have access to 2, or if they have access to 1, nothing happens. Okay. So what happens now? So like, let's say they have you're a recovery custodian, you have your inheritance package, you have the mobile key, the seed phrase. What do I do next? Well, you just come talk to Casa, and what we do, we transfer the account. When we transfer the account, you can decrypt the mobile key. That's one key. You restore one of the keys using your seed phrase. That's the second key. The last key is us. And in this way, we are able to help you set up your inheritance plan securely and safely, and make sure that they have the right components to recover your Bitcoin without them having access to your Bitcoin ahead of time, before you pass away, which I think is pretty cool. All right? And so some of the benefits of this is that I personally think this is the best solution for your Bitcoin inheritance. It allows you to bypass probate with the trust, and they get immediate access to your Bitcoin specifically after you pass away. Some of the cons is that the cost of the diamond plan is a bit pricey. It's about $5,000 a year. So it's definitely geared towards high net worth individuals. But you're not lost. There are other ways that you can set up your inheritance plan with Casa. Scenario number 2, you can be a Casa client, specifically platinum client. That's $1,800 a year, but not enrolled in our inheritance program. There's 2 ways to think about this specific situation. Legacy planning without Casa. What this means is that you're going to set up your inheritance, and you're going to set up all the keys and all the tools and all the components by yourself, and make sure that they can recover the Bitcoin without us, right? And the way to do that, and I list out the steps here, is make sure they have your login credentials. They have the PIN numbers to your hardware wallets. They have access to the encrypted mobile key backup, and they know the locations of your hardware wallets. If they have all this information, after you pass away, they can recover your Bitcoin. Again, now, one of the dangers of this setup is that they could potentially get access to your Bitcoin ahead of time. But yeah, that's just the nature of the game. Next is legacy planning with, pros of this is that they get immediate access to your Bitcoin. But again, I want to emphasize that this is before you pass away and after you pass away. All right? So that's one of the distinguishing factors of our inheritance program. Cons, yeah, your successor has access to your Bitcoin before you pass away, and it's not super great if your successor isn't tech savvy, okay? All right, so the second way that Casa can help you is by getting involved, actually stepping in. So let's say that you have a platinum account, it's a 3 of 5, they have 2 keys, they have the PIN numbers, they have the hardware wallets, and they want us to help them and get involved, right? Well, we can do that if we have your legal name on file, they have access to 2 keys, 2 hardware wallets, and they need to come to us with a notarized death certificate, letter of administration, and the con is that a service fee is charged, okay? And so this is less than ideal, especially because what happens is you'll need to go through probate in order to get that letter of administration, is what you see in point number 4, okay? Last but not least is our shared account. I'm just gonna burn through this. Shared accounts. So shared accounts is a fairly new feature that we have at Casa. And what this is it has one account where 2 members, they share the account together. And this is offered both at the platinum and diamond level. And it's a great way to share your Bitcoin journey with someone. And it's an option for Bitcoin inheritance. Basically, in a shared account, you share login credentials, you share the mobile key with one another, you share the hardware wallets and the locations and the PIN numbers all together. We KYC them ahead of time, meaning that we grab their driver's license and we store it internally, encrypted in our database. And basically, when one of the members passes away, they don't really need our help because they have access to everything anyways. And in the ideal situation, y'all are already helping each other, doing health checks together, depositing Bitcoin together, sending Bitcoin out together, right? It's really geared for partners to really be involved together. But let's say, for example, they lose access to 2 keys and they need the Casa key. Well, we can get involved, and we can even bypass probate to do this because you pre-registered both members ahead of time. And so, the only con of the shared accounts is, again, the other member is going to have access to the Bitcoin before you pass away. So this setup is ideal for two people where you really trust each other. There's more, but we will just kind of wrap it up with some questions. There we go. Let's go to some questions. Yeah, I thought I had more time. But do you guys have any questions about estate planning and Bitcoin inheritance? Yes.
1 second.
Not on the inheritance part, but on the shared account, do you have a plan that offers more than 2 people?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's on our roadmap, but right now it's only 2 members on a shared account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there some type of a dead man switch option that would bypass the need for things like KYC?
Well, okay, maybe not so much a dead man switch. So there, in the recovery process, we do a dead man switch in the sense that we send them an email, and if they respond, we know that they're alive, and so we cancel the recovery, right? There is a way that we've thought about where we can, you can take a name, the legal name, encrypt it and hash it using some type of open source tool that maybe we create or somebody else creates, but it has to be the same hashing algorithm. And then basically, when someone comes to us with the death certificate, we type in whatever their legal name is in that death certificate into the hashing algorithm, and if the hashes match, then hey, like it works out. Like that's the intended recipient. So that's a way where you can do this without KYCing. But that's not something that we've fully fleshed out yet. It's something that we're exploring. But ultimately, when it comes to the recovery custodians, it'd be hard pressed for me to think of not KYCing your successors, if that makes sense. Yeah.
What was the question over here? Was it you?
So the hardware keys, where are those stored? Do you sell a hardware device and with a companion app, or is that just regular off-the-shelf hardware wallets?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we support multiple hardware wallet devices: Ledgers, Trezors, Cold Card, Keystone, Passport. And so when you purchase a Platinum or Diamond plan, we ship you a package with everything that you need. The hardware wallets, we even give you a Faraday bag. We give you stickers to help identify which hardware wallet belongs to which key. We also coach you on where you can keep your hardware wallets, and we make recommendations, and we'll talk you through best practices of where to keep your hardware wallets and how often to check in on them.
Right, any other questions? Saw a hand over here.
I guess I'm sort of wondering, what's the state of knowledge? So if I died and, I have like a piece of paper somewhere, maybe my kids would like find it and they'd find my phone and, maybe they could get my Bitcoin or whatever. Or if they don't. Or, does the government know I have this Bitcoin? To what extent, if you're not a high net worth individual with regard to your Bitcoin.
Where did you buy your Bitcoin?
I got some for free from from these guys.
Yeah.
From Edge, and I bought some on some wallet somewhere.
Yeah, if you purchased it through an exchange of any kind, they know you have that Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, if you have non-KYC Bitcoin, they won't know.
I guess I'm not thinking about fraud or anything. I'm just like, people just forget they have stuff or whatever. It's just like if it was a valuable that was sitting around the house, you don't like declare that on your estate tax return or anything.
If it's a material amount, you should probably declare it. But it's like if you purchase it through an exchange, there's a record somewhere that you purchased it. And let's say you put in, $5,000 today. By the time you pass away, it's like $100,000 because Bitcoin went to the moon. That's pretty. I feel like the government would want some of that tax money. Yeah.
All right, we'll do one more question.
What assurances, or first, is it only for Bitcoin or all cryptos?
Right now, it is just for Bitcoin.
Okay, and then what assurances do I have that Casa will be around in 150 years? You know, that kind of thing. And do I need to use those Bitcoin at all?
Yeah. Okay, so 2 things. The inheritance program is contingent on us being around. Second question, but there's something called sovereign recovery, right? And this is just for like, let's say you didn't set up inheritance at all and you're just keeping your Bitcoin and you're just like, what happens if Casa disappears? Well, if that's the case, what Casa uses is a multi-sig, which is native to Bitcoin's protocol, and so it's open source. All that means is that you can recreate the multi-sig inside of Casa, inside of Electrum, inside of Sparrow, inside of Nunchuck. These are all open source multi-sig wallets. You can recreate it, and as long as you have access to 3 keys, which are the 3 hardware wallets that you'll have at minimum, you'll be able to send Bitcoin out of there. Okay. So we don't lock you in. Yeah, we don't lock you into our system. Yeah.
All right. Any last minute questions before we move along? All right. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Andrew. And where can everybody find you?
Follow me on Twitter at eCurrencyHodler. And then our website is keys.casa. You can fill out this form. We'll also reach out to you.
Awesome. Yeah, I did have a problem trying to find Andrew Yang. I kept running into the
I like it that way. I like my OPSEC. Yeah.
Awesome. So we are going to do a quick lightning round. So if you have something to share, if you just want to introduce yourself to the group, say you're working on something, you're hiring, you're job seeking, I want to invite you to start a little bit of a line over here. I'll give you about 60 seconds to pitch yourself or your project. And then I'll do some closing announcements. If nobody does it, I could just move on to announcements. But lightning round, ready, go.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Ryan, also known as NFT Demon. I am the largest NFT artist on Binance Smart Chain, which is the 3rd largest chain for NFTs in the entire world. And I have my first large collection on Ethereum coming out called Super Gremlin Society. And you can go to sign up for the whitelist at supergremlinsociety.com. And it's going to follow my journey through brain cancer that has spread throughout my body. And I had a 0% chance of survival, but I still beat it anyways. And so, it's gonna be kind of a test to see if real stories can sell the same as fake stories, like lore and whatnot in NFTs. I don't know, some of you might not know what the fuck I'm talking about, but either way, fake stories sell really well in NFTs. Now we're gonna see if real stories sell well.
Hi everybody, my name is Valerie Carrillo. I am the founder of San Diego NFT Friends. So if you're curious about NFTs and want to connect, or if you're looking to build a project and looking for artists or developers, we have a lot of people in our community that are looking to help and to educate you. So you can find us on all social media platforms, meetup.com. But as Madison mentioned earlier, I'm also one of the head organizers for the conference that's coming up on October 22nd. It's a 1-day conference, and tickets are on sale right now. You can have a choice between getting a standard Eventbrite, or if you would like to get an NFT ticket, we are offering NFTs as our ticket, which is super cool, and you can actually integrate them onto your Apple Wallet or Google Wallet, so you don't have to bring a MetaMask or anything to the conference. You can just put it on your Google Wallet. So yeah, tickets are $50, super cheap. But once October hits, we're gonna go up $25 every week until the day of the conference. So love to see you there. Thank you.
Any other shout outs? All right, awesome. No worries. I do have a couple announcements. So like I mentioned, we have events here all the time. Paul mentioned some awesome event groups, SDNFT Friends, ETHSD, CryptoSD, also Crypto Heads. These are all other groups in San Diego. But these are the upcoming events. This one's going to be at UCSD, like I said, a little bit more on the beginner-friendly side. We are going to host a watch party for SmartCon, which is a conference that Chainlink is hosting. Basically, they said have fun. It's going to be super casual and social. Of course, we're going to provide food and drinks. So just, yeah, bring a friend. Come on down. That one will be super fun and casual. And then ThorChain is going to be here on the 18th. I'm looking for another speaker to join them as well. Like Valerie mentioned, Web3 SD is coming up. Super excited for that. It's going to be at the Central Public Library in downtown. So be sure to snag your ticket for that. And then lastly, we do invite people to go to the after party after this at Princess Pub. Here's a little map to get there. And then I am always looking for volunteers, including speakers, audio, visual, somebody to maybe help with setup and takedown of these events. So if you know somebody or you're looking to get more involved, please reach me. This is my email, my name at edge.app. And yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for being here this evening. There's tons more pizza and drinks, so eat up. I will kick you out in a little bit. Thank you.
up your heart, what do you feel? Open up your heart, what do you feel? Is it real? Yeah. The Big Bang may be a million years away. Oh. But I can't think of a better time to say, world, hold on. Instead of messing with our future, open up inside. World, hold on. One day you will have to answer to the children of the sky.